Ready? Ready?
Yep.
Welcome to this week's Sports Back Talk with Boley and Ringer. And, well, Mike, was it a Merry Christmas?
Yeah, kind of weird though.
Yeah? How so?
You know, I know what Christmas is about, you know, and why we have it, but not to complain to the dear Lord up above,
Geez.
but I'm not a fan of Monday Christmases.
Okay. So you're going to blame that on him, or you're going to blame that on...
Well, not directly. I guess if he, started the world and started everything, I guess I could.
Okay.
Because we wouldn't have Sundays and Mondays.
So you're kind of like the Easter thing that always ends up on a Sunday.
Well, no. What happens is the Sunday, Monday, Christmas Eve, Christmas gives families an opportunity to break up and do Friday, Saturday with one family and Sunday, Monday with another family. So we're starting our stuff Saturday, opening presents. Well, I'm a traditionalist. We've always opened presents on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
Left things in the stocking for the kids on Christmas Day. Even to this day, when all of our kids are upper 20s and lower 30s, we still leave them a little fun thing in there. And this year we never got to do any of that traditional stuff. And you know me, I'm kind of a traditionalist. I like things, to bring back memories of my childhood and the way I was brought up. And
I hear you. I agree with you on that. My mom brought us up exactly the same way. That is exactly the way things are. But
answer me this.
Answer you this.
So how many people opening presents together in your household? 7, 8? When you do in your immediate family?
When we did with my daughters and Eli, there was 10 of us.
Okay. Now when you handed out the presents, did everybody just go to town on them, or do you guys have one person open at a time and then move to the next person?
When the adults open the presents, yes, one at a time.
Let the kids. Eli ain't gonna do that.
The kids were kind of getting them in kind of sets so that they were all busy, so that they weren't over taking one from somebody else and opening the other. Yeah.
Because I like to do that just for the fact you can see what everybody gets. Plus, I like doing it with the kids as well, even though it's a little more hectic because they got 30 presents and we got one.
Right. Yeah.
But it teaches the kids to look to see who the present's from and teaches them the etiquette of saying thank you. And also things like that. So, anyways,
yeah,
where are we going with this?
We had like 22 people involved in a gift exchange where you draw a card and you can take the present, you can steal it, and all this other stuff. And it took about just about an hour to do, and it was a little too big. There were too many people. No, if anyone of my brothers and sisters watch this, just one man's opinion. I made a few suggestions for next year. One of them, let's not even do a gift exchange, which I know will fall on deaf ears. And the other one would be, let's do boys and boys and girls, and we can kind of be on either half of the room, and it'll go a little bit quicker, and then we can get back to playing cards or something that's, yeah. Anyway, that's just Tim. All I can say is I probably will never forget Christmas 2017 because it was where my entire immediate family got the flu, and we managed to spread it to about half of my mom and dad's side of the family. So it was
you might not be invited back.
It was a less than stellar Christmas in that department. It was. Anyway, yeah, I hope everybody else had a good one, although I heard that many other people were dealing with the flu as well. So.
I heard today my brother-in-law Darcy, my brother Gerald, my sister-in-law Patty, who we all had a big match of Uno. There's 9 of us. My son Burke and my nephew Nick and Nick's wife Carrie, and boy, I got my flu shot, thank God, because I was sitting next to Gerald to my right. And Patty was a little ways away from me, but
they both got it.
Yeah, they're bad. Darcy's bad, and Uno, that'll test your marriage. It just so happens all the spouses were sitting together in most cases. Me and Diana, and, Brenda and Darcy. Gerald and Patty though were separated.
Okay.
Which to me is going to be the way we play next time because. I don't know if you played Uno, but there's +4s and +2s, and they're getting ready to go out, and you smack that +4 on them. They're not real happy.
They're not real. Yeah, they're not happy.
All right, enough.
Enough about Christmas. and Happy New Year and all that other
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So you guys were discussing the World Junior Tournament.
Yeah.
While I was getting things set up. Are the Americans unbeatable, or is it just me?
They were last night.
Well, yeah, they're playing the Danes.
And like one guy mentioned today, they were talking about, Middlestad's a great player, but some of the things you see out there in social media, this was an amazing goal. The goal he made with
The flip up over the
no,
shoulder.
the tapping of the puck. Well, they do this all the time, Ringer. High-end players, they all got good hands. Okay, last night was not a good indication. I want to see what Middlestad does against Canadians. Okay, then we'll see how good he is. I'm not saying he's he's going to be a fabulous player. Don't get me wrong. He'll sign his NHL contract in 2 years or maybe even a year, but they're all great players at this tournament. Denmark's definitely down from last year. They finished 5th last year, so they had a good showing last year. But Denmark's, they probably shouldn't be even in the pool of 10 this year. But
Czechs beat the Russians yesterday. Is that a
minor upset? Not
Minor?
huge. Czech Republic has a good team. They have about 7 or 8 high-end players. Their high-end players outplayed the Russian high-end players, and that's why they won. Then the Canadians, Finland, probably 2 of the other favorites. I think the 3 best teams are on the A side.
Yeah.
Finns, U.S., and Americans, and boy, you don't want to finish out of the top seed over on the other side because otherwise you're going to get one of those 3 teams.
So let me ask you this: did you see the Canadian game?
Yeah,
Did you see the first goal?
yeah, no goal.
I made the comment towards the
Wave
TV
on.
that if you guys call this a goal, I will never watch the World Junior Tournament again. Needless to say, I'm having a dilemma with myself about that because that was the worst call ever. I don't know how you can. How can you say that the goal was not off?
It was a bad call.
It was a horrible call.
Yeah.
Not even bad. I mean,
So was the Kelvin Benjamin call, but we lived through that later on.
yeah. Well,
It's
anyway.
another sport, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
It was but you got to hold true to your word. I don't want to hear about you watching any World Junior.
I'll try not to watch
Because
any
you're
more
a
of it.
teacher, you're an example to the students of Falls High, and you got to be true.
I got to be true to my word.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No call-ins yet on the.
You're expecting some calls?
Well, yeah. I mean, I
you
offered.
missed a phone call? No. So where would we like to start? Would we like to start with football, pro football from the weekend? What did we learn?
That the refs in the NFL and the people that are at the NFL headquarters in New York don't have a clue what's going on for about second week in a row, or that rule about what's a catch and what isn't is totally stupidity.
They
Every
need-
ball you catch, Rick. I remember when I used to throw those spirals as quarterback of the old Falls Broncos, and not every one of my passes was perfect for Tom Gedney or Howard Arch. I mean, sometimes they bobbled them as I threw another touchdown pass,
There you
but they
go.
counted it. They didn't have replays. They gotta understand that catching the ball's an art, and there is going to be some bobble in there. So I think the idea is if there's a little bobble, who cares?
They supposedly made it easier for it to be a catch from last year or from last
Sure.
season to this season. Do we see a similar effect for next year? That they loosen up the rule a little bit more to your liking?
Well, here's the deal. The Buffalo owner, Pittsburgh, of course, they had their complaints about the Jesse James touchdown. It's easy to say what's happening now is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, the toughest thing to do is what do you do to fix it? Okay, it's like anything else in life. You can complain about something you don't like, but if you're going to complain, you better have a good answer of what you got to do to fix the problem. And the same thing here in the NFL. What do you do, NFL owners, to make it so it's definitive for not only the refs, but also the people in New York City watching the replays?
So can I throw this suggestion out, and then maybe you can get this to the people at the NFL?
I'll do it for you.
My suggestion is that they go away from the completing the catch in the end zone. To me, the Pittsburgh, New England, he crosses the goal line, the ball is in his hands, he breaks the plane of the goal, he has it, and then lands on the ground. He has it for long enough. And I'm not a Pittsburgh fan, and I'd love to see Pittsburgh lose. So this is me going out there saying, they should have gotten the benefit of the call.
The ruling on that, though, was it a football move for him to get in the end zone? That's the question.
But the ball was makes the goal line, and then after he's already crossed the goal line, something else happens. And to me, once you've crossed the goal line, you were in the field of play, you have the ball in your possession, you cross the goal line, the play is over. The whistle should be blown. It's a touchdown. It's done. Same thing if you're catching it in the end zone. You're coming across and you're flying across and you catch it and you make that whatever and you get knocked to the ground and then they no, you already had possession of it. You got knocked down. You had it. And to me, in the end zone is different than in the field of play.
Yeah. Irony. New England was involved in both games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was flipping through the channels today. And I came to Colin Coward's The Herd on FS1, and he was not on.
I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan either, but he was not on. So they were talking to, I can't remember his name anyway. He's one of the officiating gurus, probably for Fox or whatever. No, it wasn't him. It was the other guy, Bethard or something. Anyway, he was talking about the most obscure rules, and he said. So they asked him, what's the most obscure rule in the NFL? And he said, well, it's November or it's December or January, and New England gets every call turned their way. Yeah. And he said, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding about that. I don't want to get in trouble. And then he went on to say about a very obscure rule that I had no idea. If on the last play of a half, first half or second half, the ball is punted and it is downed by the kicking team, if the offensive team the receiving team just walks away from it and the defensive team comes and downs the ball, no matter whether there's time on the clock or not, the offense gets one more play automatically. It's in the NFL rule book. He said nobody knows about it except for the New England Patriots, of course, because they know every rule. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting rule, but the whole idea here was that yes, New England does get all the calls at this time of the year for some reason, and
in my opinion, they should put John Gruden in New York City and let him make common sense calls. Because he would do it. He's not a homer or doesn't have any allies or whatever, enemies for either teams. And he'd be very objective. And he loves the game of football. He's passionate about it. That's true, too.
Is he going back to the box?
That's the rumor.
Okay.
The coach from Tampa actually brought that out today. He's been kind of watching the news, and of course they had the big anniversary of their Super Bowl win, and of course Gruden's getting standing ovations, and people
got inducted into the Hall, into the Ring of Fame or whatever. Sure.
But that's what I'd like to see John Gruden just sitting in New York, and he's in charge of determining all these calls, and I guarantee they'll be right.
Vikings get the bye. Will they get the bye?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's so many alternatives, although one of them looks to be like against them because the Rams are sitting all their guys, Gurley, Goff, Donald.
Because they don't have anything to play for.
Yeah, and that was one of the things. If L.A. won, that would definitely get the Vikings in. New Orleans wins, it gets them in.
So the Vikings play everybody this weekend for the full time to get the bye, to assure to get the bye?
I think so. I think if they play their game and defense plays hard, they should be done by halftime.
Well, the thing is, if you take care of business yourself, you don't have to wait on anybody, and you're going to get your week off anyway, right? And then
Yeah, and if you're playing not to get injured, that's when you get injured. Yep. So you got to be careful on that. And Jacksonville, they said they're playing all their guys. Thing is, you could say that all you want. It's how long are you going to play all your guys?
True.
It's tough fantasy-wise also this weekend. Tough picking games on who's going to win. So if you're out in Vegas, be careful. Probably stay away from the bet lines. They're tricky because you don't know how long a lot of these players are going to play. Roethlisberger might play one series. It might be like the last exhibition game of the season. So there's some games at which they moved all to late afternoon, the playoff-implicated games like Baltimore, Tennessee, San Diego, Buffalo. They're all playing in the afternoon regardless if they're East Coast teams. So John Harbaugh was not happy with that because basically it's 4:45 out on the East Coast, and on a New Year's Eve night that might not go over real well with the fan base. So we'll see what happens there.
We'll see what happens.
He says the NFL doesn't care about him. That's what he said. I care about him.
I'm sorry, John.
I like the
Harbaugh.
Harbaughs.
You're related to Jim. You don't.
I like all the Harbaughs.
Maybe you deserve more breaks than anybody else in the world. I'm not sure. Maybe I went the wrong way. Because he's related. Maybe
next week we'll make our playoff predictions.
Yeah, next week we'll have to make our playoff predictions, and we'll have to discuss a time because New Year's Day is Monday, and during our regular scheduled taping time will be semifinals, and you'll be hard pressed to get me off from in front of a TV at that point.
Yeah,
I know. So.
Sounds good.
Okay, you want to talk about the Wild?
Yeah, real quick.
Real quick, tough trip to Florida for the dads and brothers and whatever else last week. Tough one with the loss to Florida on Friday, and I think no surprise that they probably lost on Saturday to Tampa.
Well, again, they were tied or ahead in both games.
Yeah.
That's happened about 17 times now where they didn't get a point out of the game, and that's not good. That shows me a lack of, how do I put it? Determination, resiliency, hard work. What are you going to do to make yourselves better? I said today on Twitter the Wild need 4 of 6 points this weekend, starting tonight. This is considered the weekend.
Okay.
They got Dallas tonight, Nashville back-to-back on
Friday,
Saturday. They need 4 of 6. If they don't get 4 of 6, if they got 3 of 6, but if they lose all 3, it's over. I'm telling you, it sounds a little goofy. It's not even the start of the new year. But I don't know how nobody loses in the Central, and these are 3 games against the Central opponents. Dallas is right there, Chicago's right there, and the other 3 teams, Winnipeg, St. Louis, and Nashville, are running away. So there's basically 1 spot, maybe 2, and if they keep losing these games to division foes, I like how they said all over social media too is they're refreshed now.
Okay.
You play a doggone game, Ringer. It ain't like you're working on Wall Street where, you make a mistake there, it costs people millions of dollars. These guys are playing a game.
Yeah.
Okay? You should be refreshed all the time. You should be thankful to the heavens that God gave you the ability to be a professional athlete. And then you say, I'm refreshed now because of my 3-day off for the holidays? I'm stressed after my 3-day holiday, I'll tell you that. Did I get the kids the right presents? Did I, all that stuff? And,
well, they're feeling that pressure too, Michael.
Yeah, but I just, a lot of pro athletes, who I liked was kind of good was Daniel Winnick.
Okay.
He comes right out and says, we're no good. Instead of all the Mikko Koivu and,
the nicey
and Ryan Suter cliché answers like, yeah, we need to learn from this. Learn from it. You've been playing hockey since you were 5 years old. That's when you were learning 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up through high school. Now, if you haven't learned, you should be done learning. Okay?
I agree.
It's like a doctor. He's got his master's and he's performing heart surgeries, and I hope the heck he's not still learning. All right.
Well, you hope that he's learning, but that he's not learning while he's making those mistakes.
Well, learn on somebody else, not on my heart. I'll tell you that.
And of course, we got to talk about the Timberwolves and their 4-game winning streak.
No,
right?
we really don't.
4-game winning streak heading into Christmas, into the holidays here. So good streak for the Wolves as they lead the Northwest Division. What else?
That's about it.
You don't want to talk about the great college bowl games that have been played thus far? Unbelievably horrible.
I didn't see UCLA that Rosen came up with a concussion excuse for not playing.
Yeah,
give me a break. I hope he goes to I hope he gets drafted by the Cleveland Browns.
He doesn't want to go to Cleveland.
I know. That's why they need to draft him.
That's why.
Hey, they got 2 first-round picks in the first 4. Pick them. What's he going to do? I mean, he could pull the Eli Manning and John Elway trick, but I think today is a little more difficult than back then. Okay, Elway had some other things he could have done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, he could have.
But I see. I don't know if you watched Des Bryant. I was disappointed. I sent a little tweet out on that today, and Des Bryant wouldn't go out on the field
Because
Beasley was pushing him. Get out there. He wouldn't go out because he wasn't. They weren't throwing the ball to him. They were handing the ball off to Ezekiel Elliott. He's sitting there complaining on the sidelines. He would rather worry about how many catches and yards he gets instead of winning. I put him in the same mold as Ocho Cinco. Who's the guy? T.O. Keyshawn Johnson. Okay, all those players.
Randy Moss?
Randy wanted to win. You never seen him complain a lot because he had Chris Carter on the other side. Okay,
But he was still the guy that threw me the rock.
Yeah, he did, but there was reason. He was skilled and talented. T.O. was skilled and talented. But I don't think Des Bryant, he doesn't have breakaway speed.
The only thing Des is known for is the non-catch, right?
Hey, Des, I'll take Adam Thielen 7 days a week and twice on Sundays before I'd ever want you on my team. And Des Bryant,
That might be the best thing you've ever said, Michael. We've said
Adam
a lot of good
Thielen's from
things.
Detroit Lakes, walked on at Mankato State, and is twice the football player you will ever be. Okay, enough on that.
human being.
Supposed to be, yeah, human being, absolutely, human being.
What else we missed before we get to our 2017 top 10? Anything? That's
Did I say we were going to talk about anything else? Football, hockey?
you want to make your final plug for your fantasy league team before we move
No.
on? No, they're
I need to win, and I need another team to lose to make the playoffs.
okay.
See, our playoffs start when the playoffs start.
The
Boy,
playoffs
there's a
start with the
concept. There's a
I know,
concept.
wild and wacky stuff.
Yeah, all these other Mickey Mouse leagues, they start their league, playoffs in week 14. Well,
That's right.
We only draft good guys from good teams.
I had Delvin Cook and David Johnson as my first 2 picks.
So what you're trying to get it as? Does
They were
he
both
draft
gone.
kind of questionable attitude guys? Is that
Alan
what you're trying to-
Robinson. My team was loaded. Best team I
Loaded?
ever drafted. I'll never get another team like that again. And
Well, wait a minute.
They all got hurt.
If you come in last place, don't you get to draft first again?
No, we redraw. We don't
We redraw.
reward. We don't reward mediocrity.
Mediocrity?
Yeah,
Okay.
too many
Fair.
people do. Right?
Not in the IFFFFL.
No,
I
definitely
think there's
not.
one too many F's. in
Where are
there.
we going? Top 10
Let's do the
sporting.
top 10 because that could get long-winded. I'm not sure.
Well, we'll try to keep her civil, and we'll try to keep it short.
Okay. Before we do that, just so I don't forget, because it came into my mind, if you missed last Friday night's hockey game at Bronco Arena,
Oh, yeah.
hope you were listening. If nothing else, we had fun. It was a heck of a game on Friday night.
Yeah,
But the Bronco come back from down 4-0 to win 5-4 in OT.
And I said it on the radio, and I'll say it again here live. It's get off your couches, get out of your bar stools. Not that we don't want you coming into the bar stools at Looney's
Looney's.
after the game or before the game, but doggone it, for 2 hours, go to Bronco Arena, have a chair, grab a cup of cocoa or coffee and some popcorn, and sit down and enjoy some high school hockey.
It was fun.
It's 2 hours of your life, and the kids would love to see more people at the games.
I honestly, when I went down to do the post-game interview, I don't know who were more excited, the little kids that were trying to get the kids to give them their stick or a puck or whatever, or if the kids were more excited. That was the happiest I've seen those boys in a long time. It was kind of fun to see the smiles on their faces. It was Christmas come early, I guess.
Yeah, back in high school, I'd give my stick away about once every 5 or 6 games because the high school paid for them. So I would give my stick away about every
Sure.
5, and nowadays you give it away, that's like 300-400 bills.
It's crazy.
What do you mean you gave your stick away, Dad says?
Wouldn't pass with me as a father. No, I
Yeah.
don't think that would go.
All
as
right,
well.
top 10.
Top 10. So we're starting with.
We'll alternate back and forth. We're
start
going
with
to
number 10?
Number 10 and work our ways to our biggest event that happened in 2017 sports.
Very good.
And if anybody has anything to add to it after we're done, please let us know. We might put it on the air.
So if I start with 10, that means I'd get 2, so that means you'd get number 1, so I'll start. Does
All
that
right.
sound fair?
Yeah.
I got the Timberwolves in there, off-season trades for Jimmy Butler and all the stuff
Oh.
they did, getting rid of Rubio and bringing Teague in, that kind of stuff, and now sitting on top of the Northwest Division. For right now, it seems like all the stuff, the bad years and the number 1 draft picks has paid off.
Yeah, they've played better lately, but again against LA, they're missing Ball and Ingram, and they seem to be catching a lot of teams with some players out. I think Butler's starting to teach these kids what you got to do. Wiggins is getting lost.
Yes, he is.
Because Wiggins,
That's a very good
again,
point.
he's not to say he's like Des Bryant, but he's a guy you got to be careful about. Is he more worried about the money and the statistics and not so much about the winning? Jimmy Butler's a winner. He wants to win. And I can't believe you have basketball ranked up in there in the top 10 of all.
You should see what I promised myself I was going to put at number 10, but I put it in my honorable mention column. So
Number 10 for me is the Wild traded for Martin Hansel and Ryan White at the trading deadline.
this makes the top 10 for
We
bad
gave up.
reasons.
We
or-
gave up what? A first rounder, a second rounder
Yeah.
for 2 marginal, at best, third or fourth line players
they
that
scored
did absolutely nothing for us.
And scored very well for us this year, right? In this season.
Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah.
They were rentals. We knew that going in, but Chuck Fletcher panicked. I don't think we had to do anything, but you know why we had to make that trade?
Because
People
the
are going to
fans,
disagree with me on this.
because the fans said so.
But get in line. No, well, no. Well, actually, fans I noticed on social media weren't Alex Tuck. They did everything they could to fit him in, and he wasn't ready, Ringer. They gave him 4 games, sent him back to the minors, brought him up for 3 more, just didn't show enough. They wanted to put Coyle at center, which they ended up not doing because they brought in Hansel then. Tuck was not ready, and now everybody complains that Tuck's got 8 goals in Las Vegas. Well, you can have Tuck, because there's some red flags on that guy.
Yeah.
You know, he got cut from the World Juniors his second year. He made it his first year of eligibility, got cut the second year, okay? Alex Tuck wasn't ready. That forced him to make the Hansel trade, and it's going to prove to be a big mistake in about the next 5 years.
Okay, we got 9. What have you got at 9, I should say?
Number 9, I got Grand Rapids, Indians, or not Indians, Thunderhawks. When the class AA, mind you, AA, Sheldon, state high school hockey tournament, winning 3 straight against the likes of Eden Prairie, Moorhead, and I can't remember who their first round game was, but it was a heck of an accomplishment. They were AA school. They play like a AA school. You will not see Hermantown or Plantville on this list. I don't care how many state championships they won. They're still playing down in the Bees. Okay.
How about 67-4 in shots the other night against Moorhead?
Yeah, well, this is 2000.
17, I agree. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's still 2017.
It
isn't
is.
it? All right, but I'm still keeping there.
67-4,
That's
they
an
got outshot.
accomplishment.
It is.
Well, they
Well,
lost their 3 best
Yes, they
players.
did. Oh, absolutely.
They lost
it's a
Hayne,
totally different
McLaughlin,
season.
and Stetzel. All 3 of them are playing juniors or in the U.S. development camp. So kudos to Rapids, although that hurts me to say that because they knocked me out of the
The
state
Halloween
3 out of 4
machine.
years.
Dirty Pot Liquors. Okay. My number 9, the whole Tracy Clays, PJ Fleck, row the boat, I don't know, debacle,
Yeah, it was a
nightmare, good stuff, I guess whichever side of the boat you're on, whether
Yep.
you're in the boat or being pulled by it or being run over by it. I'm still, I guess the jury's still out on it, but to me it was the big story with the whole thing that, with the Holiday Bowl win at about this time last year, and then Clays gets fired because he sided with the kids instead of administration, and
Yeah.
they bring PG Fleck in a few days later, and the whole season. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out for the Gopher football team. But that's my number 9.
I like it. 2 years is Fleck's timeline, and it kind of proved the type of people that Jerry Kill and Tracy Clays are when they kind of went and cut down the University of Minnesota after the fact. Number 8.
Number 8, I've got. I'm going to go with the high school sports here. I'm going to go with the Bronco girls track and field team and the Bronco girls golf team winning section titles on the same day last May. It was the 5th straight for the track and field team, 2nd straight for the girls golf team, and I thought that was it was awesome. I know I was in Esco when the girls were winning the section and getting updates on the golf. At the same time, it was a crazy hot, warm day, and of course, Emma Gilbert. I'd be remiss if I didn't say something about her winning the state shot put title as a junior, and the season that she had, and hopefully will continue to have coming up. Now heading off next year to the University of North Dakota. So the whole mixture there, that whole day, that whole time of the year. For Bronco girls sports was pretty good. The girls golf team ends up go to state and take 6th place. So it was pretty nice time of the year.
I'm glad you brought that up, but you know that's a big part of your extracurricular life.
Yes.
And that's your job to bring that up. In other words, I didn't.
Well, I didn't have Grand Rapids on my schedule here, so that, I mean.
My 8th, number 8, is the Vegas Knights expansion draft and the success of the team.
Thus far?
You know, people sounded like they're surprised, but they had compared to what the Wild in Columbus had during the last expansion draft, where they were picking from a group of about 4 to 6 players from each, which were all, nobody wanted. There was top 6 players available to the Vegas Knights. There were top 4 defensemen all over the place for the Vegas Knights. They have a great coach that's good at blending stuff like this together, Gerard Gallant. So I think everything was fit to make this happen. Will they make the playoffs? Yes. Is it a good thing? No. Okay, for the long term, it's not good that they make the playoffs their very first year because you got to remember these guys were left unprotected for some reasons. Some of it was money, but also their consistency. Like I look at the Wild players, Eric Hall, Alex, both of them fairly inconsistent players. Will that come back to earth? Yes, it will. There's similar players from other teams. So there's my number 8.
They got it 7.
Number 7. Let's move on to 7. I got the Lynx winning their 4th WNBA title in 7 years with the likes of Sylvia Foles, Lindsay Whalen, Simone Augustus. Who's the other one there? Foles, I mentioned her.
Jeez.
Anyways.
For Maya Moore.
Yeah, Maya Moore, of course. Yeah, she kind of had an off year too, but Foles is kind of.
She kind of took the Golden State approach. I'll take a little less to give some to some other people,
But,
and hopefully we can win a
It's a heck
championship.
of an accomplishment these women have done. 4 titles in 7 years. It keeps us, Loserville, USA from Minnesota, optimistic that we can at least win in something.
I had it at number 4 on mine, so my number 7 is the Vikings season, this regular season with the whole Sam Bradford, Case Keenum, the O-line rebounding and coming back to picking up a couple of tackles and finding a center in the draft and all this other stuff. So
I like it.
That's my number 7. Of course, we'll see how it all ends coming in 2018. But for me, that was number 7.
I'm guessing the reason you don't put them lower is you've been beat up too many times and expectations get so high.
Well, it's not over yet. I'm hoping. I mean, I guess I'm looking for.
Well, 12-3 or 13-3 or 12-4. I mean, both of them are going to be good.
Both of them.
They're not going to lose to
doggone good.
Chicago. So, what's your next one?
Number 6, I've got the Clemson comeback over Alabama in the national championship game last year to win their second national championship overall. Their first in 35 years, I think, if I remember right. So, kind of one of those things. I think a lot of people didn't think Alabama could be beat, and Clemson did the trick.
Yeah, and you know me on college football. You're not going to see any of that in my top
That's
10.
why it's here, baby.
Not a fan. My number 6 is what your number 10 was, I believe. The trading for Jimmy Buckets. That was a huge trade. Told Minnesota Timberwolves fans that they're ready to make that move. If Wiggins can catch up, I like the rest of this team going forward. But I believe that was number 6 on my list. Number 5.
You got 5.
Number 5 is the Twins in the playoffs after going from the worst team in baseball to an 85-win season, getting knocked out by the Yankees in the
Playing game.
the bridesmaids game, but a heck of an accomplishment. If they can get one more pitcher, I see another run like this next year, probably even 90 wins. And maybe stay away from that playoff game. But that's my number 5, the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, I actually had that at number 2 on my list, and so I put it up there as one of the top ones because I don't think even when we were sitting here last spring, we ever thought that the Twins would win enough games to make the playoffs. We thought they'd be better, but to think that they were going to make the playoffs was just...
Well, Bowie thinks there's 4 things better than that. But,
Well,
we'll get to that
I'm
later.
interested to hear what those are.
All right,
I got,
what are
I
your
got my
5?
number 5, the whole Colin Kaepernick taking a knee scandal set up, the whole thing. It just kind of sitting out there. It took up a lot of our time off of games.
So you're pushing the political side of sports.
No political side here. I think it dominated. It definitely will be one of the top stories of 2017. When we look back 20 years from now, we're going to be talking about a few of the other things at the top of our list. But this one, I think will continue to be at the forefront going forward. This isn't going away, and I think it's going to be something that we're going to continue to hear about. And that's why
Does the new owner of the Carolina Panthers bring Kaepernick in next year?
Woo! Wow. Do you think you'll get it sold that quickly?
Well, there's some people that are interested in it. Even Kaepernick said he would like to vest in it, and
then they're going to move to, and then they'll move to Oakland when Oakland moves to Vegas. Is that one of the 2 teams? I haven't heard who those 2 teams
could
are.
make sense. Could make some sense.
Who
We'll
knows?
see. Number 4, you're up.
Number 4, I got the Lynx winning the 4th championship in 7 years. So
All
I think
right.
we talked about that. So
that made it twice. I got the Vikings, going 12-3 or 13-3 or 14-4. Right now they are 5-1 odds to win the Super Bowl. That is tied for the second best chance with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Patriots are 3-1. So the Vikings and the Steelers are the next highest rated teams to win the Super Bowl. And I think it's been a great season. You mentioned the offensive line. I think Zimmer has done a nice job coaching that team, and Case Keenum, who would have thunk? And
would have thunk
with
it?
the loss of Delvin Cook,
Especially with the loss of Delvin Cook, and so give some credit to the other backs. Murray, I don't think, was completely healthy at the start of the season. He's starting to show a little bit more of what I think why we brought him in.
Yeah.
And the defense, I think we've kind of
I agree.
looked past them. But
That isn't over. Hopefully, we mention the Vikings again for our 2018 top 10.
it would be awesome. What do you got for 3?
Number 3, am I up?
You are.
Well, I'm not going to go without using this one.
Okay.
Sergio Garcia.
Oh, good God! You went back
Okay,
to the
winning
past.
this year's Masters tournament.
Wow. I
And
did not see that one coming.
It was one of the most exciting things for me, not just financially, but also it was. I come to like Sergio. He's probably the most hated golfer 10, 11 years ago, and he's come to, show a personality that there's a lot of good in him.
That he's a human.
That he's a human being. He's got feelings, and I thought that was one of the most, I guess, gratifying Masters wins I've seen, and I've seen all of them since about 1972. So that to me, goes right back to Jack Nicklaus winning
In '86.
in '86. Yeah. So Sergio, number 3 on my list. Who would have thunk?
Who would have thunk it? So my number 3 is the first overtime in Super Bowl history. I thought that was a pretty big deal. I mean, considering that 51 of them have been played and never have gone to overtime before, and so we get the first overtime Super Bowl game. I thought it was worthy
Okay.
of being towards the top because
that's fair.
We may not get another one for a while.
Yeah, and it was. We'll maybe talk about that again shortly.
I think so. I got number 2, the Twins making the playoffs.
Okay,
so
that was mentioned earlier.
We talked about that. So what do you got?
Do the Twins got to get a pitcher next year? This year?
Oh, yeah.
Can we get a Yu Darvish? Tough.
Well, if you wants to take a little bit of a pay cut, or somebody like it want to take a little bit of a pay cut, because I don't think any of these pitchers, to be brutally honest, are really worth $34 million a year or $26 million a year. I mean, I want to take somebody who's willing to work for me for $12 million and say, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give you my best. You'll go out there and pitch for $12 million. Evan Ondahl said he'll go pitch for $12 million.
Yeah, Evan.
I want somebody who's going to go out there and compete.
I might pay $1 to watch him pitch. But anyways, I think when Yu Darvish sees the Twins signing of Fernando Rodney and Zach Duke, why wouldn't he want to come to Minnesota? He's got a 35-year-old and a 40-year-old arm out there ready to save his great efforts.
Save his bacon. Yeah, I think he got a little nervous under the big lights last year, but who knows?
Number 2 for me.
Who do you got?
The Pens winning their back-to-back Stanley Cup championships in 2015-16 and 16 and 17. So defending the Stanley Cup in today's game and era is near impossible. Of course, having Sidney Crosby and Malkin and Kessel and the underappreciated defenseman that they had, and Andy Murray, the goalie, and also the other one that went to the Vegas Knights. But heck of an accomplishment. I wish we could find the Matt Cullen that played for that team on the Wild, because Matt Cullen to me has been a major disappointment. And I hate to say that because my buddy Junior will get mad at me, but he's a -11 playing fourth line minutes. How can you be a -11? Worst on the team.
And you got mad here a couple of weeks ago when Boudreau sat him as a healthy scratch.
I did.
And you got mad
was
about
upset.
it, but that has to be part of it.
It was actually a smart move, and don't be surprised if he gets benched again real soon, because I don't know what's wrong.
Okay. What do you got for your number 1?
Number 1.
I got a feeling what it is.
Atlanta gives the Patriots the Super Bowl. Had nothing to do with, I didn't care about the overtime. It was when I saw Matt Ryan not hand the ball off when they're up 28-3 in the fourth quarter, or end of the third quarter.
End of the third.
He gets sacked. Instead of kicking the field goal to make it 31-3, they had to punt, giving New England the ball, and New England had the ball the rest of the game, and that's how they came back from a 28-3 deficit. So to me, That was the biggest, most exciting thing of the year, and you knew on that last drive New England was going to go down and tie it up and then get the ball in overtime and go down again and score. They weren't getting stopped.
Mike and I agree on the number one event of the year. The comeback, no doubt about it, will be talked about as probably the biggest comeback ever
Yeah.
in any sport, any game.
So you got the
I got the
aspect of
overtime as the
and
third, and then the comeback is the number one.
so you don't care about Sergio.
I do not care about Sergio.
Okay. Well, those are our
And
top
I didn't
two.
care about the pins either. You're not going to bust my chops about
No.
that?
No,
You
it's-
want my three things that I had on the honorable mention that would be like
I'll
11,
listen.
12, 13?
I'll listen.
Because you had to have
No.
some that you threw off the
Again,
bottom of the list.
Bolsteads, we don't settle for mediocrity. We
Well,
don't hand out,
I had the
we
wa-
don't hand out ribbons to every kid on the block.
I
We-
had
you gotta
I
earn.
had the Wild in there at 11 for their season that they had where they scored the most points, blah, blah, blah.
And how did that
then
work
choked,
out? How
it
did-
choked out. Well, you had them
Really?
at
No,
like
I
7.
had the trade of Martin Hansel. That's,
that's
what
right.
that was about.
I also had the MLS coming to Minnesota.
Woo-hoo.
I know that I wanted to put that in there at number 10 for you so that you would have to talk about it, but anyway. And then your pick of the Houston Astros winning the World Series
Yeah,
last spring.
that should be number one on your list.
That made my honorable mention list.
And Ringer's number one on the list should be the Giants winning the Super Bowl
winning the
prediction.
Super Bowl, my pick to win the
Did you
Super Bowl,
predict,
the New York
uh,
Giants. What did they win, 2?
Yeah, did you predict Eli Apple would be called a cancer by the defensive backfield of the New York Giants?
No,
He was kicked out of practice today and suspended.
Eli was?
He got in a fight with the coach because
Wow,
they
I
told him
didn't-
they wanted him to run the special teams and practice, and he refused. Coach and him got into it.
I did not hear about
The
that.
head
Wow.
coach booted him off and said, "You're suspended the remainder of the year." So look for Eli Apple and his mom Annie to be looking for a new team next year. And please, Minnesota, don't
pick him up.
Des Bryant and Eli Apple.
Even though he's won 2 Super Bowls.
And I heard the WWE guy is going to start another league. So Eli Apple and
I
Des
wanted
Bryant.
I wanted to put that even in my honorable
You
mention.
go-
that
you
the
go play for
XFL is coming back in Division 2, and you're
right.
going to be all over that.
Exactly.
He
I
hate me.
gotta go bowling shortly. What?
Okay.
The questions. Anybody else want anything to add to that top 10 list?
The Vikings picking up 10 as quarterback.
Okay.
That was a big deal.
The Bringer kind of briefly mentioned that, but it wasn't his main thing. But I think that could be on its own as far as a top 10. It saved our season. Bradford wasn't an answer there. Looked good in the first game, but I mean, I got better knees than he does.
I see they're going to
So-
bring him back to practice next week, though.
Yeah, they don't need to do that.
What the heck? Why?
Good question. I would definitely probably put him on my honorable mention.
Hey?
You gotta go with Carson Wentz as
Oh.
NFL MVP. Is that a
Ooh.
possibility?
How about Antonio Brown and Carson Wentz? Still like Wentz?
You don't want to put Wentz in
Ironically, both guys are out the last 2 games, which is unfortunate. I like it. I like Carson Wentz being the MVP. Who's brought their team to higher numbers than Carson Wentz? Look what they looked like their last 2 games
there without him?
with against the Giants and a really feeble Oakland Raiders team. So great point. I agree with you.
Those darn North Dakota guys, they'll keep back behind their guys. They aren't going to give up on them.
Bismarck kid, and he's the real deal.
No way. No way. Or should you just your opinion?
Knee injury.
Knee injury doesn't mean you shouldn't win the MVP, even though he only played 13 games.
Okay.
Okay.
What else?
Anything else?
What else? Any questions? Anything? We can answer it. If we don't know the answer,
We'll make it up.
We'll make it up.
So what are the Vikings going to do for quarterbacks next year?
Teddy.
Ooh.
Teddy Bridgewater's the answer, isn't he? That's what at least the fans believe. I don't know if I believe it yet, but
They got to sign him by a certain date, or they got to release him due to a extension of a contract, which is huge
unless you're
money.
the Green Bay Packers or the New England Patriots, you wouldn't have
Yeah,
to
that's
release
another
them.
thing. But that's a good question. I'm going to tell you what I think. If the Vikings win the Super Bowl, they got to bring Keenum back. If they don't win the Super Bowl, Teddy will be in there. There's my answer. How's that?
That's
a definitive.
That's a good take.
If or if. So that's where I'm going. Good question. Jeez, you are on tonight. Yeah, wonder if I got any calls yet. I can make one up. Nope.
No, nobody wanted to call him.
What'd you girls think, so?
Predictions for the Super Bowl.
Okay, it will be on an upcoming show, but I'll give one. I don't have the Vikings getting there, unfortunately. I know. I think it's just a bad taste in my mouth. I'm old enough to remember the '69 beating by the Chiefs, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Miami Dolphins, the Oakland Raiders. Those hurt.
That's 40 years ago, man. Let it go.
Oh, okay, so I'm 43. But I guess my point there is I just don't have the faith enough. I think they're good enough, but there's something up there that says they won't win. I got New Orleans against the Patriots. But good
Okay.
question. Who do you got?
I don't. Not telling.
Okay. Thanks for the question, though.
I'll answer. I'll take New England. We've been on the New England bandwagon.
No, I've been on the New England. You're kind of jumping on
No,
boards.
I'm not. I've been on the.
Hey, Ringer, you want to get on my wagon? Yeah, just sit in the back.
Okay.
Sit in the back.
Pull me along, Michael. And I will take the Minnesota Vikings just so that I can
Okay.
sit here and say that I jinxed them when they do lose. Okay. Fair enough?
Harder to win NFL championships back to back or NHL?
Ooh.
Well, both teams are proving us wrong because New England and Pittsburgh are there every year. I think it's harder to win the NHL.
Pittsburgh struggling.
If Brady gets hurt, though, done, gone, see ya. There
I
goes
agree.
there goes their chance. Again, the NFL, you lose a top flight quarterback like Drew Brees. If Drew Brees happens to get hurt here, they're done. So the Vikings might be able to get away with an injury to their quarterback. They're probably one of the few teams that could.
Interesting take.
Anyways,
else?
anything else? What do you got? I know you want to ask something.
Nope.
Did you want to say, geez, Mike, you look like you lost some weight?
Like, your face looks like you lost some weight.
Well, I haven't, okay? But
It's
thanks
just
for
the-
asking.
It's just the
I was gonna
makeup.
say, how did you do it with the holidays?
Usually I put little bonbons in my cheeks. It makes my cheeks look bigger. But I was good during the holidays, but I'm still, it's going to be a new me for 2018, baby.
Okay. We'll be waiting for it.
Here we go again.
We're done. Thanks,
Don't
everybody.
take us too serious.